You're watching GearWire.com. I'm Owen O'Malley, and I'm here in Wrigleyville, historic Wrigleyville, with Chrissy Murderbot. So you run a couple of labels.
I do.
Talk about those. Talk about like why you started them and what the difference is between them.
Okay. There's a label called Loose Squares, which does like up-tempo booty music and stuff. Okay. And it's kind of just getting started. Okay. We have our first release was a co-release with Planet Mew, and we have a couple of releases slated for later in the year.
Planet Mew is what Woman Studies came out on, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then there's another label called Sleaze Tone, which is like fun, slutty house music, you know? And we are on, gosh, I want to say our 15th or 16th release is just about to come out on that label. Yeah. So.
And is that pretty much like your stuff that you're putting out, or do you release other people's music on those labels?
I release some of my productions and then also things from other people that I just feel really strongly about, you know, stuff that I think is really, really good.
So you're going to be performing at Pitchfork with MC Zulu,
Indeed.
Is that right? So you talk about like how did you meet up with him and what you collaborated on with him?
I met him, I mean, he's also a Chicago guy.
Okay.
And I met him through a guy named DJ C, who is another, you know, musician, originally from Boston, but living in Chicago now. Mm-hmm. And he introduced the two of us, and we just kind of started working on music. And there's been a few songs that we've, you know, put together and released. He, you know, he's like kind of a dance hall MC. You know, he does a lot of vocals, and so our collaboration process will be a lot of, you know, I'll make some instrumentals, I'll send him stuff. We'll kind of go back and forth figuring out, you know, a song. Sometimes he'll just write a song over this beat and it's done. And other times, you know, he'll have some ideas and they'll send it to me and I'll work on it and I'll send it to him. And, you know, we'll kind of make suggestions back and forth at each other until we get something that's really awesome. Cool. Yeah.
So he's on one track on. So Woman Studies is like your most recent full length release.
That's the last album that came out.
And he's on one track on there.
Yeah, he's on one. There's like 9 different guest vocal tracks with guest vocalists on it, and so yeah, he's on one of them.
So talk about how you approach. I mean, you've got a lot of releases, you know.
Yeah.
So how do you approach like doing a full length album as opposed to an EP?
Well, it's like you make tracks, but you make more of them. And I know. Well, I mean, I wanted this album is very kind of like thematically cohesive. It's all like really juvenile songs about women and butts and stuff. And so, I just kind of focused on that for a while until I had a good 15 or 16 tracks that I felt strong about. And then we kind of pruned that down to the 12 that are on there now. Cool. Kind of the 12 strongest out of them, you know? Cool. Yeah.
When you say we, is it, I mean, you're basically acting as the producer for these albums, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I'm saying we, like, me and the label. Yeah, kind of discussing what makes the most sense and what goes right where and all that stuff. Yeah. So
now, it's different, obviously, for someone who's DJing, but do you release stuff on vinyl? Everything on vinyl? Yeah. Because, like, I don't know, because like obviously the sort of like rock world is experiencing a resurgence of people releasing stuff on vinyl.
Yeah.
I mean, is vinyl gonna last like forever in the DJ realm, or?
I don't know.
I mean, the refers are strong, but do you feel like it has a long lifespan ahead of it?
Vinyl is certainly going to outlast CDs. I would bet a great deal of money that we will soon be in a world where buying a blank CD even is as difficult as buying a blank cassette tape. You know, it's going to be Blu-ray, you know, DVD-R or, you know, Blu-ray-R or whatever, you know, and then vinyl. But that having been said, you know, vinyl's not going to last forever. And Serato really has put a huge dent in what you can sell in terms of dance music. Do
you even bring vinyl to gigs anymore?
No. I still buy vinyl and I have it at home, but I you know, if I buy a record, I'll encode it into my computer and then play it with Serato as an MP3. And sales, in my experience, kind of going on everybody I know, everybody I've talked to, distributors, what they've told me, what I've seen with releases, vinyl sales now are about a third of what they were 6-7 years ago in terms of dance music vinyl. It's heartbreaking in a way, because I think vinyl is going to be a thing of the past at some point. A lot of releases are only digital now, even dance music releases, because they just assume everybody has Serato. And it's hard to even make vinyl kind of a financially justifiable option for a small label, so.
Do you think that the attachment to it is sort of more nostalgia, or?
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely, it's easier. There's a lot of ways in which the whole digital DJing thing are great, because you don't have the kind of, the waste of making a bunch of giant plastic discs and then putting them in cardboard boxes and paying to ship them around the world, where then they get, taxed and people have to pay customs on them. And, if I make a record, a physical record, and I send that to England and somebody in England buys it, I'm going to make maybe $1.50, $2 off of that. And that's if I'm putting it out myself. If I'm signed to a label and they're putting it out, I might make 50 cents off of it. Whereas if I sell that same release digitally, I can make that $1.50 with them paying half the price at their end, Yeah, it's just a lot less wasteful. It's better for the environment. And the end result of playing it in the club is the exact same. It's just it is the death of a culture, and there's also the element of what really gets me about it is, I grew up digging through crates of records, and I learned a lot about music just from digging through bins and having the guy at the record store being like, oh, Chrissy, you'd like that. If you like this one, you'll like that one. Check that out, and seeing, oh, this is on the same label as this, or this had the same producer as this, or whatever, Kids these days don't have that, It
hasn't really been replaced by iTunes social network thing.
No. And there's just no resource now for young DJs to find out about old stuff. And when you get to the point where, we're going to reach an age soon where a lot of DJs have never had turntables, have never played with vinyl. They're just playing from inside their computer. And suddenly, when you don't even have the option to play vinyl, you're missing out on the entire history of dance music that you can find in record stores, but that isn't for sale online because, these labels are out of business, they don't have distribution, the rights are tied up in some sort of legal limbo or whatever. And so you have, I worry that the future of this culture is going to be marked by an ignorance of musical history that has not been the case up to the present. It saddens me.
At least we got Ishkar's guide to dance music genres.
I guess we do, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for your time, man. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.